and talk. You know, the first one they brought to him, he answered them in one verse and kept quiet. Now he will speak for more than 30 verses. Because this one is a heavy matter. And Jesus began to speak. And he said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. Now, the foundation of immorality in the last days is deception. And so the whole science about morality is weaved into deception. A man who is not deceived cannot be immoral. The reason you find many people fall into immoral living in the last days is because they are deluded. And as I go through scriptures, you will understand what I'm talking about. In verse 5, it says, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. So the reason deception will thrive is because men will want to usurp the authority of God and make people understand that everything God represents, they represent it. So they will not need to keep God's moral standard and still receive what God says he has to offer. So it's not just about saying a person. Now, there are many persons who have come in history who claim that they are Christ. But you see, this thing is telling us something that is deeper than people. Even systems will take the place of God in the last days. So they can come and tell you that forget about all this teaching on faith for divine health. Better adopt medicine. If you don't, you are finished. And then they will project a lot of what do you call it now? Plagues. And so people will become afraid. And so medicine will become Christ in the life of many people. And when you make medicine your God, and I'm not saying anything is wrong with medicine, but I'm saying medicine is a corridor that the devil will ride on. And when you make medicine your God, the next thing they will come back and tell you, sex is the best form of exercise. If you want to live long, better begin to practice it from the age of 17. And if you practice it regularly, your genes will be built up and you will live long. And many people who have no regard for the real Christ now, who said sex cannot be done outside marriage because the system have become Christ, they will have to substitute the law of Christ and follow the new law that the system prescribes. Because another Lord has been established. And then for those who still refuse, because this thing has taken center stage and it has paralyzed even the government of the day, the government will now start passing laws. And so you go to many nations, your child of 14 years can come home with his boyfriend and they'll be doing exercise. If you talk, you'll be jailed. Because medicine is now Lord. And they will now go further and shift it into perversion. And tell you, there's nothing special about your gender. You are actually what you feel like. Meanwhile, Christ, who is your first Lord, said, we walk by faith, not by sensory perception. But medical science now has become a weapon in the hands of the devil. And so it tells you that your sex is what you feel like. So if you were born a boy and you feel like you are a girl, it's your feeling that determines who you are. And so your father can say nothing because even the government have put an embargo. If he talks anything, he is fighting your will. And so a child of 5 years, of 7 years, who cannot choose the school he goes to, can choose his own gender. And there's nothing your father can do about it. And this is happening now in the world. And then your child, the government will pay for everything. Your child will undergo a surgery. Your child will be, his gender will be changed. And he will become a transgender. And he will become an ambassador to motivate others to follow the delusion. Now, if Christ is Lord, those subjects will not be discussed. The reason we can discuss them is because Christ is no longer Lord. Many Christs have appeared and have deceived many. You know, when you hear things like this, it's possible for you to look at yourself and say, no, they are not wise. They are darks. This is not about mental power. I've counseled with a lot of people before. I've seen young men who confide in me and ask for prayer. They are sitting with a fellow young man and a spirit is just pushing them to kiss the person. This is a young man talking with a young man. As they are talking close, he's just feeling a push. Not because he's feeling anything. Kiss the person. And he doesn't know what's happening. Now, if you don't know that this thing is beyond emotion, that spirits are involved, you will allow that thing to begin to mutilate the purity of your soul structure until it will become a stronghold. And then you will fall into that delusion. Now, in fact, what the Bible said is that the reason men will become immoral is because they are deluded. And the reason men are deluded is because they are controlled by seducing spirits. And these seducing spirits will not only seduce men, they will pioneer doctrines of devils. And it is the doctrines of devils and the seduction of these spirits that will make men fall. You know, the first man that was created, as original as he was, when the seducing spirit came in form of a serpent, he couldn't resist him. So this thing is not about willpower. It's about the power of the ages to come, walking in your spirit man. You know, the Hebrew word for the whispers of the serpent is called nakash. That thing the serpent does, he enters and penetrates the soul and reconfigures the soul structure. If you don't know how to shield yourself from that seduction, you will be shocked that you will not only fall, you will become an ambassador of immorality. Most of the people who are heading the gay movement today, there were people before who said they were martyrs. One of the songs we used to sing those days to set ourselves on fire, I heard later that the person who sang it had gone to the other side.